Mananasizus Iminatrentaishatina Lehesaturn Guahan is back from recess. Welcome back, colleagues. We are here to begin the second reading again with Bill number 273-37 COR. However, I'd like to assure that we have a quorum. So far, we're counting 6. So we're going to wait until we have a quorum to proceed. If the Sergeant of Arms could please check the senators. Thank you. We'll take a short recess until we have a quorum.
Mananasitu's colleagues, y Mina 37 na legislature in Guam is back from recess. At this time, we are going to proceed with 273-37 COR is introduced by Senator Perez, Senator Terlai, and Senator Barnett. So I'm going to go ahead and acknowledge the speaker at this time, Speaker Therese, on Senator Sabina's bill. Please proceed.
Madam Speaker. Good morning, colleagues. I'd like to make a motion to place Bill number 273-37 COR as amended by the Committee on Environment, Revenue and Taxation, Labor, Procurement, and Statistics, Research and Planning onto the third reading file. This is a bill sponsored by Senators Sabina Flores Perez, Therese M. Terlai, Chris Barnett, and it's an act to add a new section 14104P to Article 1 of Chapter 14, Division 1, Title 12, Guam Code annotated relative to authorizing the Guam Waterworks Authority to establish a customer assistance program to promote water conservation and to facilitate repairs on private property. I'd like to speak on that motion.
You may proceed at this time.
So this bill 273 authorizes GWA to establish a customer assistance program referred to in the bill as CAP, to assist low-income ratepayers through supplemental bill assistance through credits, discounts, and the reduction or waiver of fees. Additionally, the program would help facilitate water leak repairs on private property while promoting water conservation for Guam as a whole. Customer assistance programs are implemented in other jurisdictions in the U.S. that ensure access to clean drinking water for its residents. U.S. EPA recognizes the need and sets metrics for affordability.
There's this sound, Madam Speaker, and I apologize. And I can let you finish talking if you're okay, and then we'll take a moment's recess.
Sure.
So,
okay, I'll just wait. That's perfect. Thank you. Oh, that sounds so much better. Thank you very much. All right. So this bill would establish a customer assistance program, or a CAP, and this is going to be to assist customers. GWA will assist customers, especially low-income ratepayers, through credits, discounts, and the reduction of or waiver of fees. The program would also help facilitate water leaks on the private side of the property while promoting water conservation. And this is really their goal because they are anticipating drought after the El Nino. So this customer assistance program is implemented in other jurisdictions in the U.S. that ensure access to clean drinking water for residents. The U.S. EPA recognizes the need and sets metrics for affordability, which are then used in developing compliance schedules. The establishment of this customer assistance program may also facilitate extension of compliance in addition to providing financial relief. So the bill will assist in leak detection and expeditious repairs for those eligible for the CAP. In particularly, low or fixed income households may not have the resources to fix leaks and are vulnerable to escalating water bills, which this measure intends to address. Additionally, reducing water loss on the private property side is an important measure in reducing the amount of non-revenue water of Guam Waterworks Authority, therefore reducing operational costs and ultimately supporting ratepayers of Guam. The bill authorizes water conservation initiatives including rebates for water conserving fixtures, water conservation audits, and information. With the El Nino and predicted subsequent dry spell, it is essential that water conservation measures are implemented to protect our vital resource, which is water, and to sustain life on Guam. This bill was developed in large part with the assistance of General Manager Berdalio, Assistant General Manager Chris Badassi, and the GWA staff. And the sponsor of the bill, thanks them for their assistance. GWA is tasked by this bill to enact rules and regulations, and they will seek grant funding through particularly the American Water Works Association and others. So that is the intent of this bill. And one more thing is that in the findings, without a cap, without this customer assistance program, Guam will less likely be considered for the extended Clean Water Act compliance schedules, which is needed particularly for the Agotnya wastewater treatment plant. And the US EPA is requiring the Agotnya wastewater treatment plant to use a costly secondary treatment process, which places an immense burden on GWA customers, considering the infrastructure improvements GWA needs to make. So they are mandated to make these improvements, but hopefully with a cap, we might be able to get an extended compliance schedule. So this is one of the other benefits of this bill, in addition to assisting customers directly in their finding leaks and conserving water. So I urge my colleagues' support of this bill. Sidzus Mas.
Thank you very much, Speaker Chalai. Anybody else on the main motion? Senator Brown, I'll recognize you.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and certainly good morning to all my colleagues. I certainly support the bill. I just wanted to ask Speaker Terlahi, and I know we've heard situations, for example, we remember the story of an elderly man who ended up having a water leak on his property and received a $10,000 water bill from GWA and was not aware that he had a leak. But I wanted to inquire of the service if GWA now is going to be going into a private property, because our understanding historically for all of us that are customers of the Guam Water Works Authority is that GWA essentially is responsible for everything from the water meter out. Everything on our private property coming in from the water meter pretty much is our own personal responsibility and personal cost if there's any leak in our water line leading up to our home. Certainly as homeowners, we're required to incur the cost and repair of those leaks. So I see the language here is essentially allowing GWA to go into the private property to repair the leaks. Is that going to be done at the cost of GWA? Or is that going to be a cost that's going to be borne by the homeowner and allowed to be paid over time? How is GWA going to address that?
Speaker, do you yield to the question?
Yes, Sidzus Masi, and that's a good question. So I think in previous legislations, we have authorized GWA to have a little bit more access, but this bill in particular, that's exactly what it's supposed to be doing, is with the consent of the landowner always, is to go in there and find where that leak is. For those who can't afford to do that on their own, that's the difference. So right now, we're all mandated to do that on our own, but this bill would allow GWA to go in. If you are low income and you meet their criteria, then they can go in and help you to do that, because they too want to stop those water leaks and those humongous bills that we can't account for. So that's exactly the purpose of the bill.
So then just to clarify, GWA, is it GWA that will be encumbering the cost then of shouldering the cost of those repairs?
Yes, so they're trying to get grants to do that. So they have ensured by the bill, it's ratepayers will not be the one to fund this program without PUC approval. So in lieu of that, they are seeking grants for this through American Water Works Association and other entities.
Madam Speaker, I just have one other quick question. I'm assuming, but will GWA also, so that in a year or two, when they're providing these reports, I'm assuming they're going to keep track of the amount of customers that they're assisting, so we have a general idea of what's involved and how many homes are GWA is providing this assistance to. And then just to clarify, this has to do with those that are eligible for the program and not just any other ratepayer that may have a water leak on their side of the meter.
Absolutely, and they're to develop rules and regs. That's where probably the eligibility criteria will be laid out. I believe this eligibility criteria is developed by US EPA as well, and because that's also their mission. And according to the bill, GWA will submit annual reports to the legislature on the performance, including the number of beneficiaries, the amount of assistance provided, and assessment of the program's impact on water conservation and financial relief for low-income households.
Well, thank you very much, Speaker Terlahi, for providing that additional information. I'm sure that's also helpful to our listeners out there. And I certainly rise in support of this bill, Madam Speaker. Certainly the challenge is there, and it's a very big issue that GWA has had for many years, is addressing the leaks that we have in our water infrastructure, and certainly anything we can do to minimize the impact and the loss of that precious water is certainly very important. I look forward to supporting this bill, and certainly I hope I will be considered as a co-sponsor, Madam Speaker. Thank you, and thank you very much to Senator Sabina for the introduction of this bill.
Thank you very much. On the bill, Vice Speaker Munya-Barnes, you are recognized.
Mananasizus, Madam Speaker, thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak and, yes, rise in support of this measure, and thank the good author from Barrigada Heights for proffering this program for the Guam Water Works Authority. Madam Speaker, as I look at the intention of this legislation to access federal grants and local appropriations to fund repairs on properties belonging to eligible ratepayers, as you heard the retiring speaker, I remember some family members having, including my mother, having exorbitant water bill because there was a leak that was just right outside the residential area. And it's really hard when the expertise is not there to look for these repairs. I know that this program, the Customer Assistance Program, if this measure is passed, will literally promote the water conservation and to facilitate repairs on private property. I know that GWA will work its way through the rules and regulations, the AAA process, and then, of course, those things will eventually, after the AAA process, will come back to this august body. I do want to note that in the public hearing, I know that there was a recommendation from GWA to support 2 amendments, and I just wanted to make sure that they were included. I know that one of that was to, should the bill be put on this floor, no ratepayer revenue shall be used by GWA to fund a CAP program without the express prior approval of PUC. Just want to make sure, is that in? Yeah.
Speaker, do you yield to the question? Thank you.
Yes, thank you. That is on page 3 of the amended bill, subsection 2, so it's line 14. Ratepayer revenue shall not be used by GWA to fund this CAP program without the express prior approval of the PUC.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. And Speaker, thank you very much for that. There was another amendment, and I was trying to look at it. Madam Speaker, just a moment's recess so I can confer with the co-sponsor on this measure. Just a moment on the second amendment.
We will take a minute recess. Thank you. We are back from recess. Vice Speaker Munya-Barnes, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to confer with the speaker from Jonia. There was another measure that was requested by GWA as it relates to the standards, and I was informed by the co-sponsor that that yes, that would be included in the promulgation of the rules and regs, going through the AAA process, having the different public hearings, and then coming back to this August body. So I want to say I appreciate the answer to the question I had earlier, and I want to thank the author of this measure, Senator Perez, for taking the time to look at this measure and giving the opportunity for this program to exist, because as I said earlier, Madam Speaker, the reason why we want this is to literally promote water conservation and to make sure that we facilitate the repairs that are on private property, and this will go a long way in making sure that we protect and safeguard our water within our island. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to rise in support of this measure, and hopefully I can be a part of this co-sponsorship. Sizos Masi.
Thank you, Vice Speaker. On the bill, Senator Tydekwe, you are recognized.
Situs Masi, Madam Speaker, and good morning to my colleagues and those who are listening today on this beautiful Friday, July 5th. Madam Speaker, I attended the public hearing on this measure, and I was concerned too, especially with the cost of how much this may cost. And I asked Mr. Dubosky Chris, is it, I'm trying to get his last name correct, DiBiase? Budasi, yeah, Budasi. And he mentioned that this could be around $5 million, could be $6 million. It all depends. But they were planning on utilizing this fund that they see probably the first $2 million. He was trying to explain to me how it would be utilized. But the whole point ends that this will cost around $5 million to begin this program. I was really happy to see, Madam Speaker, too, that they incorporated in the legislation as an amendment to include also sewer. Because if you looked at the original bill, I believe it didn't establish this, but they were able to incorporate that in Section 2, number 1, that the Waterworks Authority shall establish a water and sewer assistance fund for the purpose of providing financial assistance and incentive to residential customers. This is very good news and a very good amendment that was incorporated into the committee. I mean, it's one thing to get water to your area, but sewer can just be just as costly. Some areas already have the water but don't have the sewer. So this provides that assistance in both. So I'm happy that was put into place. I think we're looking forward to the process of doing rules and regulations. I think the 6 months period is sufficient to be able to establish this, because earlier in the testimony that was provided by Chris Dubosky, did I say it right? Budasi. Sorry, I have a new set of trays in my my retainers today. Budasi. He was mentioning that there was a study that was done prior to this. Excuse me. So most of the research has been done. So that's why I feel that the 6 months period sorry about that, excuse me, that the 6 months period would be sufficient because of this study that was done prior to this. So I also mentioned when I was talking to the author of the legislation, I said, Senator Barris, this feels like deja vu. I remember this legislation. And she said, yes, it was in the prior term that we had tried to introduce this legislation. And because of her due diligence and wanting to make sure all the T's are crossed and I's are dotted, that this legislation is ready to go. And so that being said, I stand in full support, and I'd ask the author of the legislation to include me during the public hearing as a co-sponsor of this measure. So thank you for the opportunity. For me, it's starting off as a rough Friday, but I ask everyone to just create a great day today. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much, Senator Titlegy. On the bill, Senator St. Nicholas, you are recognized.
Good morning, Madam Speaker. Good morning, everyone. The voice advocated for wonderful customer service, and it's nice to see that there's a bill here in front of us that promotes that, and also is very compassionate as it aims to assist. There was a great portion in the excerpts from the committee report. It says that it aims to help our monuncles, and that's a wonderful thing. It mentions that you know, a lot of them have to choose because of their income, have to choose between the necessities, and this provides some type of relief. The bill aims to promote conservation of our water resources. It create a program to facilitate repairs. We know how costly those can be. Sometimes when the water pipes break, you know, it kind of seems a little bit overwhelming and daunting. You're the only one there, and you see it, and you know it can get very stressful when you see a water pipe break. And to offer some type of relief, it shows our government is responsive to the needs of our people, and it's a wonderful bill. And so I stand in support of the bill, and would also like to be a co-sponsor if that's not an issue. So thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and have a good morning.
Thank you very much, Senator St. Nicholas. On the bill, Bill 273, Senator Barnett, you are recognized.
Test. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Good morning, and Biba Betnes to my colleagues and to the people of Guam watching this morning. Definitely rise in support of this bill. Very actually grateful for the Guam Waterworks Authority's support of this measure. I actually had a relative that went through a situation similar to this, where there was a very large water bill that was received by, and I'll just call her Tanana, received by Tanana was several $1,000s. And it ended up being that the leak was on the other side of the meter. Old house, old pipes, just, you know, very old. And I don't know if anyone in the body realizes this, but when you have a leak on your side of the meter, you have to call the plumber, you know, whether it's a Totomalic or whoever. And so that, just for them to shoot the dye in and establish where the leak is several $100s. I mean, last I heard it was like $300, and this was like many years ago when my auntie went through this situation. So when you have a GWA customer who's in the lower income bracket and they find themselves in this situation where there's a leak on their side of the meter, many times just actually getting that leak pinpointed to where it's at, I mean, we're looking at several $100s that many of our elderly and disadvantaged can't even afford. So I absolutely support this long overdue measure. And again, I'm very grateful that GWA supports it as well and recognizes the need, especially given that so many of our people are living below the poverty line. So I bless them and wish them Godspeed in establishing the eligibility standards for this. And I'm very grateful that I'm a co-sponsor on this measure. And I also ask my colleagues to support it to help those less fortunate on our island preserve their access to the life-giving liquid that is water. So, and again, I got to commend the author, Senator Sabina. I know her ears were burning the other day when a bunch of us stood up to just kind of pat her on the back So I commend her again for this measure, which is long overdue, and I think will go a long way to helping those who most need it on our island. Si Dios Masi, and happy Friday.
Thank you very much, Senator Barnett. On the bill, Bill 273-37. The sponsor may close.
Si Dios Masi, to all my colleagues, on behalf of the sponsor, Senator Paris, thank you for the debate on the bill. Thank you for your support. Again, this stopping the non-revenue water leaks is going to benefit all of the ratepayers of Guam. And GWA's willingness to do this, I commend them for that. It looks like a lot of work that they're going to have to go through. I'd like to make a motion to add as co-sponsors Senator Brown, Senator Munya Barnes, Senator Taitukwi, and Senator Siniclas.
On the motion to add co-sponsors, are there any objections? Hearing none, motion carries.
Si Dios Masi, I'd like to again renew my motion to put Bill number 273-37 COR as amended by the committee and further amended on the floor to the third reading.
On the motion to place the bill in the voting file, are there any objections? Hearing none, motion carries.
We proceed with second reading. We're now on Bill number 275-37 COR. Senator Lujan, primary sponsor, you are recognized.
Good morning, Madam Speaker. Good morning, colleagues. Happy Friday. Madam Speaker, a motion to place Bill number 275-37 COR, introduced by myself, Senator Jesse A. Lujan, Tina Rose Munya Barnes, Christopher M. Dueñas, Dwayne T.D. Nicholas, Tello T. Tidegui, William A. Parkinson, Roy A. B. Kinata, Joe S. Augustine, Thomas J. Fisher, and act to add a new section I to section 1112 of Article 1, Chapter 1, Division 1, Chapter 12, Guam Code Annotated, relative to standardizing airport police and aircraft rescue and firefighting positions compensation of the AB Wampat International Airport Authority, Guam. On the third reading, I'd like to speak on it, Madam Speaker.
Please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, and good morning again, colleagues. Happy Friday. Bill 275, Madam Speaker, is a pivotal step towards standardizing compensation for airport police and aircraft rescue and firefighting, known as ARF, positions of the AB Wampat Guam International Airport Authority, GIAA. This bill aims to correct long-standing parodies in compensation structures that have unfairly impacted these vital roles. This legislation introduces a new subsection I to section 1112, Title 12 of the Guam Code annotated under the AB Wampat International Airport Authority section. My colleagues, GIAA has its own certified technical and professional on a CPT professional rules and regulations as authorized by Guam law. However, airport police and aircraft rescue and firefighting, known as ARF as well, are the only positions at GIAA that don't fall under these CPT rules and regulations. And airport police and ARF positions are currently governed by the Department of Administration Rules Administration Law Enforcement Office LEO pay plan and DOA personal rules and regulations. Despite diligent efforts by a GIA board to study and adjust compensation for all certified professional positions, CPT, including airport police and ARF roles, inconsistencies have persisted due to the influence of the law enforcement pay plan. Bill 275 seeks to include all GIAA, AP, and ARF employees under the CPT rules and regulations and corresponding pay scales, aligning them with other GIAA employees. These dedicated employees or professionals work tirelessly around the clock to ensure the safety and security of the traveling public and thousands of individuals passing through our airport daily. Unfortunately, the reality we face is stark. Once GIA invests in training individuals for these roles, they often leave for higher paying positions in other Gov Guam or federal agencies. While standardizing the compensation alone may not completely halt this trend, but it can significantly mitigate it. This high turnover rate underscores the urgent need for GIAA to remain competitive in its compensation offerings. By standardizing airport police and ARF positions with the GIAA CPT pay scales, we not only promote internal consistencies, but also enhance our ability to attract and retain top talent in these critical aviation-related roles. This alignment will empower GIAA to implement its personal regulations consistently and maintain operational excellence. Furthermore, this bill, 275-37 COR, will not impact the general or special revenue funds of the government of Guam, as all personnel are covered by the GIAA operating revenues. GIAA has already budgeted for the full implementation of the pay adjustment in its FY24 budget. The estimated cost is about $4,500 to $4,700 per pay period. Therefore, this legislation will not have an unexpected impact on GIAA finances. So my colleague, I urge each and every one of you to support this legislative measure and use this opportunity to streamline the compensation process, eliminate ambiguity, and ensure equitable treatment for all GIA employees. This will uphold the principles of fairness and transparency while fostering an environment where all employees feel valued and empowered to continue contributing to the continued success of the AB Wampat International Airport Authority. And with that, Madam Speaker, thank you, and I encourage colleagues to support this bill. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Jesus Masi, Senator Lujan. On the bill, is there anyone else who'd like to speak on the bill? Senator Duenas, on the bill, you're recognized.
Jesus Masi, Madam Speaker, and good morning to my colleagues. You know, I want to thank Senator Lujan for asking me to join him in being a co-sponsor on this bill. And I want to thank every member of this body who's done everything that they can throughout this session of the 37th Guam Legislature to do everything that we can to continue to attract and try to retain our very vital law enforcement officers. You know, Madam Speaker, during the public hearing, obviously, the two main things that I took away was obvious. The two chiefs, fire and airport police, as well as management, made it clear that they requested this bill and that they wanted this to levelize this parity and be able to have it as a tool to be able to accomplish their mission of first levelizing the pay. Yeah, maybe I'll switch to this. So I know we had some static. This is a lot better, right? So to not only just levelize the paying between the two organizations, but also to ensure that as it goes forward, they have this tool through legislation to continue making the adjustments that they need to. Madam Speaker, it was no secret that what came up once again during this public hearing, and we're going to be addressing soon, I know, with other law enforcement agencies, is the primary loss of our law enforcement personnel is to the federal government. And that's because the federal government, particularly on both of our Navy and Air Force bases, as well as other security entities, is paying very handsomely. And it's not only just the pay, but it is the benefits package that is, you know, attracting our people away from law enforcement. So I commend the author, and I think that we need to continue to do everything and put every tool in the toolbox to be able to recruit and retain our very, very important and precious law enforcement officers. Once again, this will just be a tool that GIA requested and the chiefs fully endorsed, and I know many of us who were there saw that the session or the public hearing room was packed with officers who have been waiting for this opportunity and been waiting to see this happen. Just the other day, while running an errand, I met one of those officers, and he asked about the status of this bill, and that many of them were actually watching session, anticipating for this bill to hopefully pass. And I mentioned to him that hopefully we'll get to it soon, and here we are. So to Mr. Sablan, I know you're probably watching today, or if you're not at work, we're here, and hopefully this bill will pass and get the full support of this august body, and ensure that we once again try to do everything that we can to make sure that your benefits package and your compensation is such that you'll stay with the government and help us in securing our public, and definitely one of our greatest assets, our airport, both in terms of response to any particular calamity when it comes to possible fire or emergencies in the contiguous area of the airport, as well as our airport police, who are very vital to keep, the surrounding areas safe, our airport and our passengers, and all that operation, so vital to our island. So for this reason, I asked for our colleagues' support on this bill, and I was glad to be a co-sponsor. Si Diyos Masi, Madam Chair.
Si Diyos Masi. On the bills, Vice Speaker, you're recognized.
I promise I'll be brief. Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to rise and support this measure, Bill 275-37 COR. And I want to thank the good sponsor from Tamuning for giving me the opportunity to be a part of that co-sponsorship. As the two retiring speakers spoke, Madam Speaker, literally the reason for this is the current law enforcement pay plan restricts the Guam Airport Authority Board from migrating some of the positions into its CTP pay scale. And again, this measure is to resolve that statutory barrier that has prevented the airport police and firefighters from at ARF receiving races approved by the board. So this is a very good bill. It should have happened a while ago. It's happening today. This is our commitment in our efforts to support what should have been done. And I want to thank again the author from Tamuning for giving me the opportunity to be a part of this measure. So thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me the time to speak in support of this Bill 275-37 COR. Si Diyos Masi.
Si Diyos Masi, Vice Speaker. On the bill, Senator Nicholas, you're recognized.
Good morning again to my colleagues and the people. Thank you, Madam Speaker. As a customs officer, you get to see firsthand how our fine folks up there operate. When there's an emergency at the gate and there's somebody who's coming in and there was a medical emergency on board and the door to the aircraft opens, they're there. And shows how responsive they are. You don't normally get to see these folks in action because they're behind the fences. They're inside the airport. And we see them in our happiest moments when there's an airport or there's a pilot who retires and there's a water cannon. And then you see them in our most trying moments. I was there in both the Korean Air disaster. We're listening to the traffic back and forth. I was actually on midnight shift when that happened. But you could see the response from our brave law enforcement officials and our fire department. I was there also when Northwest couldn't get that landing gear down. And so I saw, like I said, They're there during our happiest moments when somebody retires with a water cannon, and they're there at the most crucial time. And, you know, air and fire rescue and all that stuff can get very, very dangerous at times. And so this is a wonderful bill, and I commend the author. He's a wonderful gentleman. We always share laughs back here, and he's well-meaning and well-intentioned, and I really love working with him. And this is a bipartisan effort. It looks like we got both of us from both sides of the aisle. It's a great bill. I commend the author, and I'm already a co-sponsor, so I won't ask to be a co-sponsor. But it's a great bill. It's long time coming, and it shows our devotion and our great respect to those guys who, on a daily basis, put their lives on the line to not only keep us safe, but our traveling public. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Sijos Masi, Senator St. Nicholas. On the bill, is there anyone else who'd like to speak on the bill? Senator Shelton, you're recognized.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and I rise in support of Bill 275-37. If approved, Bill 275 includes police, aircraft rescue, firefighting positions at the A.B. Wanpat International Airport Authority under the personnel rules and regulations established for aviation-related positions unique to airport operations and certified technical and professional positions. 12 GCA Section 112H3D states that aviation-related positions which are unique to airport operations include but are not limited to technical and professional positions which, by nature of airport operations, are distinctive and critical to the airport's needs, and no other government entity which is not a port of entry. Bill 275 authorizes GIAA to apply compensation review and adjustment related policies to its police and fire emergency rescue positions in order to bring parity to their employees, effectively separating these positions from the Government of Guam's law enforcement compensation schedule, which was last updated in January 2022. For reference, the 2022 law enforcement compensation schedule authorized an 18% increase to the base salary of law enforcement positions, including police and fire and emergency rescue positions at GIAA. According to the airport's second quarter staffing pattern of this year, there were at least 49 airport police-related positions and an estimated 34 aircraft rescue and firefighting positions. The bill's fiscal note estimates $4,500 to $4,700 will be needed to adjust compensation for covered positions, and the Guam Airport Authority accounted for the increased funding requirement in the agency's FY24 operating budget. So, Madam Speaker, as I promised in the public hearing of this bill as the chair of the Committee on Air Transportation, I reported it out as quickly as possible. I support this bill, and I ask to also be added on as a co-sponsor. Sijus Masi.
Sijos Masi, Majority Leader. On the bill, is there anyone else who'd like to speak on the bill?
On the main motion, anyone else wishing to speak? Speaker Therese, you are recognized on the main motion.
Sijos Masi. I just wanted to ask if the sponsor would yield, or the committee chair would yield, or even the committee chair from the fire department would yield. Just wanted to see if I understand what we're doing here. We're saying that they will be compensated under certified technical professional pay plans. We're removing them from the law enforcement officer pay plans and the other pay plans of the government of Guam, putting them under these CTP plans, which some of our autonomous agencies have. But I thought when we created the Post Commission, our goal was to kind of unify these, and I'm also curious, DOA just finished doing a pay plan for law enforcement officers, and I'm wondering why they were unable to recognize the different certifications for the different officers, right? That why didn't they, in their own pay plan, instead of just doing an across-the-board, study these different entities and see if they require additional certifications, then their pay should be adjusted likewise. And I feel like that's the better way to do it, so that we're still staying within our, previous legislature intention, which would be we're going to study all of our law enforcement across the board and all of our firefighters across the board and make sure that we take care of them, first of all, and if their positions require additional certifications, that we reflect that in their salaries, but that, I think that was the whole reason for the establishment of the Post Commission for law enforcement, and it's DOA's job, really. And I guess if anyone would, just why, are you aware of why DOA was
Thank
unable
you,
to do that?
Speaker. I will yield to the author or the committee chair. Any one of you like to answer that? Senator Parkinson, as the oversight chair of...
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'll yield to the question regarding GFD. They did not show up to the public hearing, and as oversight chair, I'm literally right next to their office, and we have a very open communication with each other, and they have expressed no concerns at all about this bill.
Speaker Therese.
Thank you. So I'm looking at who attended the hearing as well. There is no representation from the Department of Administration, no representation from any other, except for Airport Authority personnel, of course. So I know this is what we have in our government right now is the autonomous agencies, they want to put their people on these certified pay plans. Their salaries become adjusted, and in many cases, rightly so, higher. The problem is, then we have our law enforcement, I guarantee who will be coming in here in a short while to say we need parity. And I feel like the parity should come from DOA doing their studies and recognizing which ones need certification and which ones need different certifications and making the salaries adjust that way, so that we don't have that, I've listened to legislatures over many years saying that this is our issue, we can't, take care of our line agencies while the autonomous agencies are taking all our law enforcement because they've got different pay plans. So I think if it's just made clear by DOA, anyways, it's just confusing to me because of the post law in the past that we're supposed to be making them all uniform, and that DOA could have made very clear when they did their raises that we need to compensate differently for certified pay. I don't blame these autonomous agencies for pushing these things. That's what they've been doing, but that is one of the perennial issues that we are having with our line agency compensations, not being able to keep up with the autonomous agencies. So I'm just going to put that on the record, and if no one else has any information from DOA, I feel like that's unfortunate. They should have been there and told us why they made a pay plan adjustment without accommodating the differences in certification that are required by these different agencies. Situs Masi.
Thank you, Speaker. Anyone else on the main motion? If not, Senator Lujan, you may close.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Thank you very much, colleagues, as well. And thank you very much also, Madam Speaker. Unfortunately, DOA wasn't there to answer some of these questions that you had. And absolutely, it's up to DOA now to get with it. So in conclusion, thank you, Madam Speaker, again. In conclusion, Bill 275 represents a crucial advancement towards equitable and standardized compensation for airport police, known as AP, and aircraft rescue and firefighting positions, known as ARF, at the AB WAMPAD, Guam International Airport Authority, GIAA. By addressing the disparities in compensation structures that have long affected these essential roles, we are taking a definite significant step towards fairness and consistency within our workforce. By adding a new section to Bill 275, we are enhancing the language in the Guam Code annotated to achieve parity among GIAA employees and ensure a cohesive and efficient implementation of personnel policies. Our airport police and ARF professionals are indispensable to the safety and security of our traveling public. The high turnover rate in these roles, driven by the pursuit of better paying opportunities elsewhere, highlights the urgency of competitive compensation to retain our skilled workforce. I strongly urge, again, my colleagues to support 275, it looks like we have here. This legislation not only simplifies the compensation process, but also strengthens our dedication to fairness, transparency, and welfare to all our GIA employees. With that, Madam Speaker, I want to also thank my colleagues here and the airport employees for accommodating this body in the we've taken a tour of the airport to understand their airport operations on a daily basis, the challenges they may have. I just must say that there's another bill that I have, 319, which goes to, again, help the airport. Maybe once was not needed, but there are things now that are needed legislatively to be able to correct some of the things that were of great challenge in the past. So with that being said, Madam Speaker, with this Bill 270, yes, oh yeah, I'm sorry. A motion to place Senator Amanda Shelton and any other senator. I think Roy, I think you're on there already, Roy. Senator Amanda Shelton, and I apologize to the chair. I know she was out in an emergency when this bill was circulated. So, but to add on Senator Amanda as a co-author as well, and any other senator that is. And
on the motion to add Senator Shelton as co-sponsor, is there any objection? Seeing no objection, that motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you. With that being said, Madam Chair, or Madam Speaker, motion to place Bill. Dwayne is on there already. Yeah, Dwayne's on there. Dwayne, you're on there. You're number 4. That being said, Madam Speaker, I motion to place Bill 275-37 CRR on the voting file.
On the motion to place Bill 275-37 COR as amended on the floor to the third reading, is there any objection? No. Seeing no objection, motion carries. Majority Leader, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move to recess until 1 p.m. today.
All right. Motion to recess till 1. Any objection? Seeing no objection, we're recessed until 1 p.m. Situs Masi.